Welcome to Where Are They Now?, where we reach into the archives of Lenape, Shawnee, Cherokee, and Seneca High Schools and invite selected alumni to share their memories and fill us in on their career paths after commencement. Since Lenape's first graduating class in 1961, Shawnee's in 1972, Cherokee's in 1978, and Seneca's in 2005, over 77,000 individuals have received diplomas from these four schools. Join us now for another Lenape District alumni interview on Where Are They Now? Hello and welcome to another edition of Where Are They Now? I'm Mark Sonsini, a 1996 graduate of Cherokee High School, and today we'll be talking with a Lenape alumnus from the class of 1989. He is a pharmacist residing in Haddon Heights, New Jersey. I'd like to welcome Derek Billetdoux to the show. Derek, great to have you here.
Thank you, Mark. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about your career since your time at Lenape. But first, let's talk about your time here just a little bit. You moved to the Mount Laurel area around middle school?
Yes. I went to Harrington.
Okay. Harrington before coming over to Lenape. And any siblings or family members at Lenape here with you?
Yeah, so my brother John Billetdoux, I believe he graduated like 86-ish. He was ahead of me.
Okay. Let's talk about some of your activities you're involved in here at Lenape. You were in the Latin Club and the Future Physicians of America. Tell me about them.
Yeah, so I didn't have a terribly exciting high school career, I guess. But in terms of activities or what have you. But yeah, I had aspired to become a doctor. So I joined the Physicians of America Club and Future Physicians of America. And then the Latin Club, I really took an interest in school. My teacher, Mrs. Paternoster, I had always had an interest in Greek mythology, and then I'd always heard that Latin was a necessity of, or at least a preference with medical school. So I took a natural interest there, and yeah, she helped really spark my interest further along.
Great. And you mentioned, not doing a whole lot activity-wise at Lenape, and one of the big reasons for that, at 12 years old, you were diagnosed with epilepsy, and that, you could understand it being at that age and having to deal with that could make things difficult for you.
Absolutely. I remember having taken a seizure in school, which was always my biggest fear. I wanted to keep this dark secret inside of me, and I didn't want anybody to find out, because people don't understand, and it's terrifying for people and for you as an individual who has it. But unfortunately, I did actually have a seizure. I remember one in particular in the gym at Harrington. And then eventually when I did graduate and I moved into Lenape, more people, more students, I certainly wanted to just lay low in the shadows, be nondescript, and just make it through. I really didn't have a ton of high expectations as to what I would be doing after high school as a result, because it was so limiting. Because I had it's grand mal. There's various types of epilepsy, but I have grand mal seizures where you completely collapse and your body convulses. So in my mind, I just didn't have much hope of a future having that. Okay.
But you did, as you said, you did have some ideas that maybe you wanted to get into the medical field a little bit. So you go to Burlington County College, and you spent 3 years there. You were on the dean's list and earned your associate's degree in science, right?
That is right. Yeah, that is correct. Absolutely. It was.
Okay.
My dad was always one to pressure us never to give up. Not pressure, but I mean instill in us, and my mom as well, a work hard, study hard, don't give up type of mentality. So yeah, I still. And then actually my senior year, I had actually had to drop out as a result of the epilepsy, but I was tutored at home. So I was able to still graduate with my class. And so it did make me determined to pursue something. So yeah, when I went over to Burlington County College, I was surprisingly to myself, even, I was really able to excel. And I had happened to see, I reignited my interest in maybe medicine is an option still.
Okay.
Maybe my future isn't actually limited.
Right. And then to earn some money while you're there, you're doing tutoring and some other jobs. And then that's sort of when you had the idea that maybe pharmacy school might be for you. Tell me how that came about.
It was interesting. Yeah, I remember specifically thinking, how am I going to pull this off? Any college, let alone medical school. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So obviously, the expense of college, how am I going to figure this out?
Sure.
And the only option would have been to work. So obviously, it would have to be a high-paying job. So while I was walking down the hall one day, I happened to see this advertisement about, I believe it was actually PCP&S, Philadelphia College of Pharmacy and Science. So I read up on it, and I didn't know much at all about pharmacy, and I just knew that I had a pharmacist that I was getting my epilepsy medication from. So I spoke
Sure.
to him, and he said it's a good paying career and everything. And I thought, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I pursue pharmacy first, and then I'm going to go into medicine. I
Okay.
also started collecting letters of recommendation. And I worked for, like you mentioned, the tutoring center. And I was talking to my boss, Mickey Weller, who ran the tutoring center. And it turned out that she definitely gave me a letter of recommendation, but she also sat on the admissions board of the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy and Science.
Okay.
So, that gave me a little more hope, that
Sure.
fate had kind of crossed paths here.
Right.
But then once I got into pharmacy school and I got done, I was like, nah, that's all right. I think that's enough.
We can stop there. Okay, so you save up enough money, you go to PCP&S and you get your bachelor's and doctorate degree in pharmacy there, and tell me how that works.
So yeah, the initial goal was to pursue my bachelor's. At that time, pharmacy school bachelor's was a 5-year degree, and then an additional 2 years if you wanted to go on and get a more clinical doctorate.
Okay.
As I got into my 4th year, they had changed things, and they interviewed everyone and asked us if we wanted to just graduate with the bachelor's or go on for your doctorate, which was now only going to be 1 year. So I agreed that I would like to go on and pursue my doctorate. So I went ahead for an additional year and got my PharmD.
Okay. And during your time there, you're teaching back at BCC a class there while you're still at PCP&S, right?
Yeah, it was great. One of my professors from Bronte County College, my biology lab professor, had gone up through the ranks, and she was now running the lab. She had reached out to me to see where I was at, what I was doing, and if I would be interested in teaching a lab course. And again, I guess the idea of epilepsy and everything had always kind of inhibited me, and my mind was I had some self-doubts. But she assured me that, when I came in, we would work together and get some semblance of what to do.
Right.
And it was great. It was a great experience. I mean, I rewrote the syllabus so that it was for nursing students, by the way. I taught microbiology lab for nursing students at BCC.
Okay.
So having a similar perspective to pharmacy, I rewrote the syllabus and tailored it towards how antibiotics and microbials would come together and what the relevance would be and things like that. It was a really good experience.
Very cool. And also during that time, you're working, getting some experience part-time at pharmacies as well.
That is right, yes.
Okay. And then you end up graduating as a member of the International Honor Society for Pharmaceutical Sciences. So obviously you did very well there.
Yes, ROCI. I was inducted into ROCI, which was exciting. Yeah, definitely. And then, like you mentioned, during my time at PCP&S, again, I couldn't really afford to be there without loans and/or working. So I would actually come out of my dorm, take a trolley to 14th Street, take a bus over to Race Street, and then take a bus from Race all the way down to Cinnaminson, where I would get off in front of Rosvold Pharmacy. And then I would work till about 9, 10 o'clock at night, and then study till about 2, 3 a.m. and start over again all weekend.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of dedication. All right, so you end up graduating from PCP&S, and then you're working for some various pharmacies at that time, right? Kind of private pharmacy you mentioned, and then you're doing some chain pharmacies as well.
That's right. That's right. Started with ShopRite, and then from there, I got recruited to Farmore, and then from Farmore, I believe I went to Merck Medco, and then Eckerd, and then eventually I wound up at Walmart, which is where I'm at now. Yeah.
Okay, so you're at Walmart. Tell us first off, though. Obviously, most of us go to the pharmacy or to a pharmacist to pick up our medication as needed, and we see the pharmacist a lot of times back there filling it and answering questions and stuff. But I'm sure there's a lot more that goes in to the job than maybe most of us see. Tell us a little bit about being a pharmacist.
Sure. So I guess starting at the very beginning, when you first drop off a prescription, I mean, the first thing we have to do is analyze a prescription for whether or not it's legal. What's the drug written for? Is it written correctly? Right dosing based on your age, based on your clinical circumstance.
Okay.
The state of New Jersey has certain requirements as well as far as how the prescription has to be written. So those things are looked at. Then, of course, where it really gets in depth is where I look at your profile. I have to look at your profile and see if this drug really meshes with you, with the other things that you're taking. Are there interactions? Are there certain, how's your liver? How's your kidney function? Is this going to be appropriate for you?
Right.
Were you taking it differently previously? So now we have to reach out to your prescriber and make sure that this is indeed what they intended, or was there some mistake?
Okay.
All of that goes into play. Then of course, the whole time, you also have guidelines on how many technicians can be working under you at any given time. We're still in charge of the budget in terms of payroll, in terms of who's there. You're still managing inventory. All of this falls on us as pharmacists. There's not different teams for that. There's no different departments. It's the pharmacist runs that department.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of different stuff that goes into it that you don't really think about. And then when you think about doing all those things for all of the different customers you're getting each day, that sounds pretty daunting.
Yeah,
so
definitely. That's the other thing. You're right. You're also, you're the complaint department too, which happens frequently.
Sure. So you've been at Walmart for about 13 years, and you've excelled there, and you're now the pharmacist in charge. And tell us how that is different from just being a regular pharmacist.
So I guess the big thing is the regular pharmacist gets to go home at the end of the day, and the job is done. Whereas if you're pharmacist in charge, if somebody calls out, if the scheduling needs to be done, or somebody decides to quit, or if there's a complaint, you're handling all of that. If the district manager, regional manager they're coming in for a visit, or there's some issue, you don't stop. In effect, the job is 24/7. Because all of these things have to be addressed, and it has to be handled quickly, because tomorrow morning the store's opening regardless of whether there's people there or not. If somebody calls, if there's a snowstorm, if there's we had that rainstorm recently with the state of emergency. If there's an issue there, the store has to be covered. So
right. Okay.
That all falls on me as a pharmacist in charge. Most recently, the most exciting thing, in answer to this question and what you had asked before, pharmacy started getting into a few years ago a more clinical role in terms of administering immunizations. And that's been a pretty exciting thing. And one of the things that the pharmacy manager is really involved with too is developing immunization events, not both in store and outside of the store, to get that access to the community so that they can access these needed vaccinations.
Okay. And yeah, that was my next point I was going to bring up. In 2022, you were voted Pharmacy Manager of the Year, a big honor, and a large part of that was what you were doing as a response to COVID, right? And vaccinations, and obviously that was still a lot going on with that at that time. So tell me about all of that and the different events and things that you were doing at that time.
That was amazing. It was, I mean, I was so honored. Yeah, that so the way Walmart works is they will nominate and elect a pharmacy manager of the year for each of their four business units, and then one of those four will go on to be pharmacy manager of the year for the entire company,
Okay.
which I believe we have like 8,000 pharmacies nationwide.
Wow.
So I got the North Eastern business unit, and I also got overall company, which is a
Wow.
true honor. Now, how that developed, when COVID first hit, it was, again, going back to payroll. Pharmacies have a very slim business margin. So payroll is your biggest expense in order to try and walk that tightrope.
Sure.
Well, we had to evolve. We had to develop something that had never been done before. We were inventing on the fly immunization clinics. How do we handle 400 patients a day? And now we have to, on top of that, add anywhere from 400 to 600 immunizations a day. People are
Right.
just showing up. We had 70 to 80 people showing up at the window, standing around, trying to maintain 5 feet apart for each other.
Right.
It was so daunting, but we did it. We really excelled at it. We were able to handle 400 to 600 immunizations a day on top of our normal workflow. We established immunization clinics through, I believe we did Cherokee. Yeah, we did. We did Cherokee. We did Lenape.
Hmm.
We did New Lisbon Developmental Center. We did businesses throughout the state of New Jersey. We traveled 2 hours away to North Jersey. We traveled an hour and a half or two down by like basically more southern New Jersey and
Okay.
everywhere in between. All total, we administered 13,000 COVID vaccinations that year,
Wow.
and another, say, 2,000 between flu and what we call expanded shingles, pneumonia, tetanus,
Okay.
hepatitis, things of that nature. And I can honestly say, and I give kudos, it wasn't just me. You know, you stand on the shoulders, you can only reach high if you stand on the shoulders of the people that you lean on. And
Right.
my team was phenomenal in allowing us to execute that type of delivery. It was absolutely incredible.
So how were you able to, because you mentioned you're doing these vaccination, clinics traveling all over the state, but at the same time you still have to cover the brick and mortar
Yeah.
store for people who
Yeah.
are coming in there, and with, not being able to, or being limited as far as, gaining additional staff. How are you able to do both at the same time with these record numbers of people that were coming out?
Well, first you start by praying that nobody gets COVID. Because as soon as that happens, you have to shut the whole store, the whole pharmacy gets shut down, and a cleaning crew comes in, and now you have to stay, not only your shift, but you have to stay overnight while they clean everything up. But to
Wow.
your point, absolutely. So I have to give kudos to Walmart. I remember having that question saying, listen, our S3G guidelines do not warrant. How am I going to staff? And they said, don't even worry about that. That playbook has been thrown out the window.
Okay.
We're going to do what needs to be done, what's right for the community. So, as such, a lot of people got overtime. We were able to pull from other stores. So, we became very, very proficient at doing immunization clinics, where a lot of stores they not so much.
Yeah.
So plus two, we had an abundance of staffing.
Okay.
So we were able to go ahead and, Lenape contacted us. We would set up the event, and then simultaneously I'd reach out to my DM, and we would work together to get staffing for the store during that time. Also, even if a lot of times what would happen is we would do the immunization clinic starting at, like, say 5 or 6 a.m. Like when we went up to North Jersey, we'd leave at 5, get there at 7, start the event at 8 a.m. That would run till 12. We'd be back by 2 or 3. I would then close the store. That pharmacist left and went home. We'd get done at the time. I think we were closing at 9 p.m. And then we would bill all those immunizations we did until about 11 or 12, sometimes 1 a.m. So then you'd get home, and then we would turn around and start all over.
Do it again.
You know?
It sounds kind of like your days, going to school and traveling to St. Vincent to work and going back and doing homework and all that. So,
Yeah.
obviously, to be able to pull all that off, you need someone with great leadership, which you obviously have. Talk about your leadership style a little bit and how that sort of evolved, from being an epileptic.
So I had never, all those years in pharmacy, you get so focused on just meeting the customer's need, meeting the demand that's in front of you, reaching certain metrics, certain numbers, and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So you really don't, you lose sight sometimes of the humanistic approach that goes into the practice.
Yeah.
And so while at Walmart, I definitely learned about servant leadership, where basically the concept is that you make sure that your team, that everybody has a good quality day, that they can accomplish what they need. It isn't obviously about you, it's about, if you want to achieve those same things I mentioned, those metrics, those goals, you do it through meeting your people's needs, your customers' needs, and everything else will indeed fall into place.
Right.
So yeah, through servant leadership, definitely. It was easy. It became easy to do because, to your point, having been epileptic, I pulled on the strength I eventually developed, that initial weakness, that initial fear. I was able to empathize with my staff and with new hires and with patients, the fear they must be feeling when they're walking in and
Sure.
in this type of world through COVID. And then after COVID, you still have people who are very much concerned about it because it is part of our life now. So yeah, and I'm able to empathize and help people achieve their goals.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. Let's talk about your family life a little bit. You're married, you have a daughter. Tell me about them.
Yeah. So Kathy is my wife and my daughter Madeline. Both very understanding because, like I said, coming home, missing them for weeks at a time, coming home at 12, midnight, 1 a.m., I get to see them for like 20 minutes, half an hour in the morning before I went to work.
Mm-hmm.
And did all these COVID clinics. They've been very understanding, very dedicated. Maddie's 10 years old. She goes to school. She's doing very well, involved in piano, violin, loves math, which is great. And my wife works part-time for like a pre-K.
Okay.
She's an aide there.
Okay. And how did you and Kathy meet?
So we met, it was funny because we met through a friend who I went to PCP&S with. She went with Kathy went to she went to high school with our friend Ann, and I went to PCP&S with Ann.
Okay.
So one night, just hanging out, Ann called me at the pharmacy and asked if I wanted to hang out, and I really wasn't up for it. And then my brother actually reached out and said, "Do you want to hang out?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." So we all went to the same place, and Ann had brought Kathy, and
Okay.
And it was funny because I think a year earlier I had actually gone to a concert with Ann, and Kathy was there, and we didn't pay each other really hardly any mind. Then a year later, the pharmacy phone calls came in, and
Right.
we met up at a nightclub afterwards, after work and all. And that was it. We just rekindled and, never looked back.
Great. Funny how it works out sometimes.
It was.
Your interests, things that you enjoy finances and investing, which probably not a lot of people enjoy that, but it's good that you do.
Yeah,
I
don't know. It just it piques my interest. Yeah, so I enjoy. Although I have to admit, it can be terrifying at times. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been through with the 9/11 bombings and then through COVID, it
Right.
was quite tumultuous. And you go through some time periods where it's a real roller coaster and
Yeah.
kind of has you ready to jump off a cliff at times.
Yeah, I think it does scare a lot of people, but it's good that you enjoy it. You also enjoy traveling. What's your favorite place you've been, or next place that you want to go?
Favorite place I would say has been Tortola. We went for our honeymoon, and right across the way is Virgin Gorda and the baths, and it's absolutely incredible. Just so beautiful.
Okay.
Um, I would really love to get over to Greece. I would love to. I've never been outside of the country, other than Tortola is technically the British Virgin Islands,
Right.
so it's technically outside the country.
Yeah.
But I would like to really get over to the Italy, Greece area.
Okay. Fantastic. And you enjoy listening to music as well. What are you listening to right now?
Yeah, yeah. My favorite. I love Billy Joel. My favorite.
All right.
I got Maddie learning how to. My wife won for Christmas one time, got me a Billy Joel piano playbook, and I figured I would try to mess around and figure it out.
Okay.
And I've done all right. I don't really know how to play the piano, but
Okay.
I've winged one song in particular.
All right.
But Maddie is much more proficient on the piano, so now I got her playing a few songs, and it's awesome.
Excellent. Very cool. Any other plans for the future? What's on the horizon for you?
Man, just yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing, and I would like to maybe get down to Florida, see some friends, and yeah, that's about it. Keep on pushing forward with my career and helping out the community, you know.
Yeah. Terrific. Well, you're doing some great stuff, Derek. Congratulations on all your success since your time at Lenape, and we wish you all the best in the future.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. And that's all for this episode of Where Are They Now? For other Lenape District alumnus interviews, check us out online at youtube.com/Lenape District TV. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.